Hey guys, for this game, I'm going to be talking about QXC. By the way, if you didn't know, I'm going to be talking about how to do a 1-Rax Reaper Fast Expand against Zerg. So the map is Metalopolis. This is me. QXC is the purple Terran in the left position versus Ret, the blue Zerg, in the right side of the map. So I'm going to go ahead and speed it up a little bit. The basic build order is scout with the SCV that makes the supply depot, build your barracks on 12. Stop making SCVs, build your gas on 12. This will give you enough gas to build the tech lab right when the barracks finishes. And now, primarily you're scouting. Unless you scout them first, you're not going to be able to deny this hatchery from going down or delaying it, really. So what you want to see is if they're doing any kind of one-base play that you need to be aware of, some kind of speedling, baneling, all-in, or early roaches. Those are the kind of things you need to adapt to. If they go for an all-in with speedling, baneling, you just kind of make a couple of bunkers, expand as usual, and once you survive, you should be at such an economic advantage you win. If they go roaches, you just go earlier marauders with concussive shells. So I like to try and bunker here. It's usually pretty tough to pull off. Most Zergs are pretty aware of this timing, but it does force them to pull some drones. And once you get your Reaper over there, mine is coming soon, you can use it to kind of get a kill or two, or kill a couple of Zerglings, just kind of applying pressure early on. Making sure not to lose the SCV, this is really important, and canceling the bunker if it gets too low on health. So I build the supply depot, and from here on I'm going to start saving so that I can get my command center. So the command center goes down around 20 supply. Just a moment here, I'll be building that. One thing that's fairly challenging about this build is you need to be well aware of multitasking. While you're microing this Reaper, you need to be doing other things. So before the patch 1.12, this build used to be more of a Reaper. You could go mass Reapers with speed and really apply a lot of pressure to the Zerg. What it is now is it's just 2 Reapers, you get a Marauder, and you get concussive shells. And so the idea is, if they go early roach like Ret does, you can use the Marauder to actually kill the roaches out on open ground, just using concussive shells to micro against them. And if they stick with just Zerglings, you basically continue to apply pressure with the Reaper and Marauders, however many you get, until you think speed is about to be done, and that's usually a little bit after the command center finishes, depending on how early they took their gas. So you can see I'm actually moving out with a Marauder here so that I can go, because I'm pretty sure he's just relying on that one roach pretty much to keep him safe at this point. So I'm going to get my Reapers and my Marauder and bring them over. So because of the change to Reapers, you can't get Reaper speed until the factory finishes, so I don't even consider it to really be an option. You just transition directly into either 4 or more generally 5 barracks play, and the whole key with this build is to use your early economics, which you should be about even with the Zerg because your expand comes so early, to continuously apply pressure, forcing him to make not drones, basically. Every Zergling he makes, every roach he makes is one less drone he has. And so you can keep his economy kind of in check by continuing to apply pressure, possibly catching tumors as they're building. Pretty useful. And then you can see I kind of have a gauge on when I think his speed is going to finish, so that's why I backed up at this point. Marauders actually very good at tanking against Zerglings, even if they're not really good at killing them. And so you can see 2 reactors. I'm only sticking with 4 barracks in this game, opting for a slightly faster tech. My money's starting to get a little bit high. I need to take a second gas in a factory. Not actually sure what's going on with that. Another really key component of this build is you need to get really early stim That's going to allow your Marine Marauder force to fight against speedlings pretty effectively, and it also allows you to do a lot of damage. And so one of the best things to do with this build is to use it to punish very greedy Zergs. Here we see Ret, no defense, barely any units, already taking his third. The Spire not quite done yet. And so another thing that's really good is to scan and take out tumors. Every tumor you kill kind of sets back the Zerg in terms of map awareness and just kind of knowing what's going on and being able to move their units effectively. Notice I've still got these two Reapers here. Reapers have fantastic DPS for their cost, so it's really good to keep them around. They're super fragile, so you put them in the back. And at this point, actually if I had reinforced with this army I might have been able to end the game, but I decided to consolidate instead. And so now I've done a lot of economic damage. The main thing is I don't want to get caught by mutas, and I want to stay on my game plan. And so that means fast +1 weapons, factory going down pretty soon, early combat shields, and turrets at all of my bases so that I don't get killed by Mutalisk. And now that I'm secure in my main, I'm going to move out again. I've got my bunker. Always build a bunker right when the command center goes down. That's a pretty good timing. That helps defend against just errant speedling run-bys into your natural mineral line and stuff, and you can raise your supply depots in case they try and run up your ramp. So here I'm moving out with my army once again. I'm not doing a lot of scouting in this case because I know I did a lot of economic damage, so I'm not really worried that I'm going to run into a trap. I don't think he has enough units to really trap me, so to say. A couple of banelings here. A little miss micro. Could have been pretty costly if he had actually continued on. And now I'm going to go in and just kind of push, continuing to apply pressure. Really important here is to spread out your Marines. You can see I got this group over to the right and one group over to the left, and so the banelings' damage is mitigated pretty heavily. I'm not really microing as well as I could have against these drones. Since the Terran army is all ranged, anytime you can keep doing damage while not taking it, that's good. So stim and back up, stim back up. And this is an example of where if I had rallied to his main, the game is actually over. These Mutalisks would not be able to take on this group of bio that I have. I'm also going for double starports. This is because I ended up teching the factory a little bit late, and so to compensate for my late medevacs, I'm going for 2 starports. I'm going to get a reactor on one and a tech lab on the other, and start transitioning, possibly getting Ravens to help deal with the large amount of Mutalisks. So one thing to note here, I saw his Mutalisks were in my main, and so my army was pretty close to his, so I take the opportunity, I just stim and I go for it. And it takes, Mutalisks are fast, but it still takes a long time for them to get back home to really defend against my onslaught. So I've killed his natural at this point. Game is looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and continue getting upgrades. Getting upgrades is super important in this matchup, particularly when they're going Mutalisk. One of the main way that this works is Mutalisk and the banelings really, the banelings and the speedlings kind of wipe out most of your anti-air, and then the Mutalisk clean up. And so one way to mitigate that is to make whatever Marines do end up surviving as strong as they possibly can be. And so that means fast 3/3 upgrades. So pretty soon here, I'm going to, probably around when I take my third, I'll get a second engineering bay and I'll get an armory so that I can continue my upgrades. Usually you don't really need to add more than 5 barracks until you get onto 3 bays. Some of your extra income can go into upgrades and getting these air units. Misclicked. Hold on. Okay. So at this point I'm feeling pretty good. I've got my medevacs out. This is a great time to attack. Medevacs allow me to stim and not have to engage. just kind of stim and fall back, stim and fall back. So I see Ret is going for this extremely risky gold expansion. He definitely feels how far behind he is, and so he's doing something something pretty all in to try and come back from it. Some main things about engaging banelings is you want to try and always fight off creep. The banelings are very, very fast on the creep. With the speed upgrade, much faster than Marines are, in about the same speed if the Marines are stimmed. And basically what you're trying to do is whenever the battle occurs, spread your bio out to mitigate the damage as much as possible, and that becomes much harder on creep because you have less time to actually make those decisions and get your Marines moving. So I've got my third up. Key thing, take the geysers right away. Get turrets up so you don't have to worry about Mutalisk. I almost always PF Planetary Fortress, my bases, to help just kind of defend against speedling, harass, and whatnot. I'm actually not sure that this is the best decision. The problem with PFing is that you can't lift it, and so it's very vulnerable. If they just decide to kill it with banelings, there's not much you can do about it. Couple things you can do, though, are to surround it with buildings so that there's like a layer of protection before they actually get to the planetary fortress itself. So right now I'm just kind of waiting. I could just attack him and win, but I've been having some bad experiences, and this is in the middle of a best of 7, so I wanted to make sure I didn't throw away the game to anything dumb. So I'm waiting for my Ravens to have enough mana for Hunter Seeker Missile, and then I'm going to find his army, whether it's the banelings, the Mutalisk, whatever, and I'm going to Hunter Seeker Missile on top of them. And you can see my Raven just got 10 baneling kills, which is huge. His army is so small now, the banelings barely even get to my units before dying. And yeah, so main things: apply pressure with the early Reaper. Don't count on going into fast Reapers. Get usually 2 reactors off your 5 barracks and transition into Marine Marauder with somewhat late medevacs, and then depending on how early their speed is and how many units they build will adjust how aggressive you can be. And if you find a good timing window where they're droning up too hard, go in and punish them, try and keep them on 2 bases for as long as possible. And then usually when speed finishes, you have to back up until stim is out, and then when mutas come out, usually you have to fall back until medevacs are out to really make a good stand. And then getting really fast plus weapon plus armor upgrades for your bio is super important. This is QXC talking about how to Reaper Fast Expand post patch 1.12. Check it out. Peace.